Good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon, I should say. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. I'm joined as ever by Jerry from Costa Rica. Jerry, how you doing today?
I'm good. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everyone.
That's right, Super Bowl Sunday. We should be talking about who's going to win, what's going to happen, and more importantly, how big the halftime show is going to be with Bad Bunny here from Puerto Rico. So we're going to check all that out today. But Jerry, you got any speculations as far as like who's going to win this one? And also, do you have any money on it?
I have a bias. I've got a couple dollars on the Seahawks covering.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Seahawks winning outright.
Well, I mean, they got a good record, 16-3 or 17-3. It's still pretty good. Patriots, I don't know. My friend Bobby put a bunch of money. I can't tell you where, but yeah, we'll see how it all works out. Let's get into today's top stuff. So first of all, as you are aware, and the thumbnail and title suggest, it looks like Bitcoin miners are capitulating. And this is from Bitcoin News. Great follow. They got a lot of information, mostly talking about Bitcoin, as you would surmise. They say, look, Bitcoin network difficulty just dropped 11.16%. 11% is pretty big. It marks the 10th largest negative difficulty adjustment in history. Move reflects widespread miner shutdowns across the U.S. for the past 2 weeks as operators power down to ease stress. And even Jerry's dog in the back is upset about that. So now, everybody, this is something that's happening. I want to bring it to everybody's attention so they know. But when you have something like this where you're like miners are shutting down and people are talking about negative, it's not that negative. It's actually the beautiful way that the Bitcoin network actually works. So when you've got Bitcoin that costs you an exorbitant amount to actually produce because you are competing with all the other miners and you have to pay for electricity and you have to pay for the chips and everything else and the cooling and all that stuff and the space, you want those prices to be as low as possible, right? So you can make a profit. There is a margin or a spread between how much you actually make and how much you actually are spending. So as the price of Bitcoin goes down, people are like, damn, I can't make any money. So they just shut off their miners. The beautiful thing, though, is I want to say, is it 10 days or 14 days? I always forget. Correct me in the comments section. There's a difficulty adjustment. And it says, oh, you guys don't want to work? That's cool. Well, we'll just drop the difficulty a little bit, make it not so tough. And the ones that are still stuck around, because the one that planned better, these Bitcoin miners, they can actually be rewarded just for sticking around and securing the network and making everything kosher. So that's what I see it as. Jerry, what do you see when you see about Bitcoin miners capitulating and stopping? Just the worst thing of all time or not?
There are many reasons, but primarily they're economic for why you would shut down your operation, right? So yeah. The margin of your cost in your operations to the production of the Bitcoin is one of them. There's also extenuating factors. Like we had that really, really extreme cold front come in not too long ago and put a lot of strain on the electrical grid, right? So you have those miners that are working out of Virginia, up into upstate New York, even higher in Connecticut, what have you. They shut down to give, well, for two reasons. One, the economics of the Bitcoin mining, but also to give extra capacity back to the grid that they weren't consuming, which is kind of egalitarian. And there is potential like tax credit implications in that, right? They get incentivized by the jurisdictions they're in to do that. But the other side of this coin that I really found interesting is, for instance, I've got a friend who's got 5 shipping containers full of miners here in Costa Rica on a hydroelectric plant. And it's times like now when other areas of the world constrict their mining or take their mining offline for whatever economic reasons. He now all of a sudden with the adjustment is full bore. He is going full steam ahead. Things that might have only been operating in non-peak hours are now 24/7, just crushing. So what could be good for this segment over here of that mining industry isn't always great for this segment, but when the roles are reversed, it kind of is almost like an equilibrium. Everybody gets their chance to shine.
everybody gets a chance to shine, like you say. And that's just really what it comes down to. You got to stop it. I will say, though, that just recently here in the United States, we had a massive cold front, which is always dangerous, especially as we see that move across. And usually what happens, this is what happened years ago in Houston and parts of Texas, where I'm originally from, which is they said, hey, we know you guys are mining Bitcoin. We made a nice little deal with you. Shut it off. And you need to shut it off because we're going to pay you to shut it off so we can give those to our actual people. Now, this is a little bit different because back then I don't think they really had that in place. But right now, that is exactly what is going on. They're like, look, we need all the electricity for our residents. We don't need it for Bitcoin right now. We'll pay you to shut down. Cool, we'll shut down. So there could be a little bit of that. There could be a little bit of the price action. 11% is somewhat a big thing. Again, like the 10th largest. But remember, when you've got a large cold front coming through like that, you got to shut things down so you can actually make electricity. Anyhow, that's that story. So if everybody hears it again, they can be like, that's not that bad. Now let's talk about the next piece, which is every time I say the T word, people get a little emotional. I don't know why.
Okay.
Trump is being talked about by Kramer today. Actually, this is a couple of days ago. This is from Guy and Nick over at Coin Bureau and Lewis. And I did not hear him say this. And I don't know how absolutely true this is. This sounds like more of like a ridiculous statement, but I thought, well, it's Sunday. Let's just throw it in there, see what happens. This is what Kramer said on the Squawk on the Streets on CNBC just a couple of days ago. This is on February 7th. Listen to Jim Kramer.
Do you think that the president is going to fill the Bitcoin reserve?
I don't know. That will
that's
be
what I
a
heard
big
at 60.
deal.
I heard at 60 he's going to fill the Bitcoin reserve. You better cover.
So what we're saying here, Jim is saying, is like once Bitcoin goes down to around 60K or so, then that's when they're supposed to fill the strategic reserve. I thought it was funny. I don't think it's actually true. But Jerry, did we not? First of all, did you have any sell orders? I mean, limit orders in for like 65? Like what?
I did. I caught 66. I caught 65. I caught 64. I caught 63, and my last one caught at 61.
Damn.
Now they weren't big, or these were $250 orders. I mean, Jerry's not a baller per se, but that whole concept of dynamic DCA, that's my version of it, right? I have X amount of dollars in the month that I'm going to deploy. I broke it into sections. I set limit orders, especially as I saw we were cascading below, on that we were above 70, but it seemed like we could go below 60. And so I just set my limit orders and said, you know what? I'm going to let this ride a couple of weeks. If they don't get filled, I will cancel them, buy my month's worth of Bitcoin, and move on to the next month. And lo and behold, bada bing, bada boom. It stared down. I mean, it stared down within a day and a half. I mean, it was just bum, 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 bum.
Well, we'll see what actually happens. This might, some people are calling for 60 as the bottom. I still think it can go lower, but I mean, how much lower? Seriously, can we go to like 30? Okay, but no one really knows. I think it seems kind of ridiculous, but like Jerry, I think you'll be rewarded later on for those 60K buys. I'm dynamically DCAing, so my next buy day is mañana. So we'll see how the prices are. I may have missed a little bit, but I think I'll be okay in the long run. So how about this one? And then, well, almost lastly, Zero Hedge. He comes out and says that this week was pretty brutal, and we saw the biggest shorting on record. Shorting. GS Prime. And he says, you know what that means? And I'm like, I really don't know what that means. Just want to be sure. And of course, this is what it means. The Post shares a Goldman Sachs chart showing U.S. single stock shorts trading flows had a record Z-score above +3. Okay. For the week of January 3rd to February 5th, indicating unprecedented bearish positioning. This is even more so than the past events such as the 2021 GameStop rally, when everybody rode that to Valhalla. We're forced to cover amplified upward price moves. Community reactions frame shorts as rocket fuel for the next market leg up, highlighting how lopsided bets create liquidity for bulls amid retail fear and institutional accumulation. And essentially, it's a short squeeze. Jerry, do you think this could actually happen based on all of these? Because everybody is so bearish right now. I think the fear and greed index hit like I want to say -50. No, I'm just kidding. It was like 4 or 5 or 6 or something. But do you think that we're going to see a big short squeeze coming up?
I don't know about a short squeeze. I think you're going to see a tremendous amount of increased short in everything in the capital market structure that isn't the Magnificent Seven, real estate, gold, etc. So of the S&P 500, 493 particular companies, they've been sucking ass for a while, or excuse my French. They have not been performing to the level that you would expect an S&P company to operate at, right? We kind of have this expectation that the S&P is going to return anywhere from 8 to 10% a year, right? And a lot of us have said, you know what? We're really we want to focus on those companies in the S&P that are overperforming that 8 to 10% benchmark. We call them the Mag 7, right? Your Nvidia's, Netflix's, Microsoft, you know, what have you, Amazon, Apple, blah, blah. We're seeing more and more of the market participants, guys like you and me, people that are actually able to actively manage their passive retirement plans, whether they be a 401k or a Roth IRA or what have you. We're seeing people rotate out of stocks that are in that 493 and rotate into those Mag 7s, the Teslas, the even Bitcoin ETFs and things of that nature, right? So I do think you're going to see, as the tide goes out and more of these companies are exposed for what they are, and that is barely surviving, you're going to see more and more short action in those specific individual companies, which is what this chart is talking about. Individual companies, not the index as a whole.
Gotcha. So, like, I mean, as this stuff and many other things are going on behind the scenes, you could have the macroeconomics. You can have, you know, take your pick. You have tariffs. You have the business cycle everybody likes to talk about. So when we take a look at this, I'm just thinking to myself, where are we going? And this is where I like to kind of lean on what Wes from Smart Money Tracking talked to me about, which was just don't overthink it and just take a look at what the big money. He's kind of like me. He's like, you can call it smart money, you can call it big money, whatever. He goes, but just take a look at this. This is the smart money stablecoin indicator. And what it is it tracks the wallets of some pretty high name institutions and individuals. And it's pretty much just saying, like, look, these are the people that are not getting out of the market totally. They're selling their crypto for stablecoins. Yes, a stablecoin is still a crypto, you know, by the letter of the law, but they're out of their positioning, whether that be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or take your pick of all the 10 bajillion altcoins that are down there. So as they sell off, they get into altcoins. So as they sell, their altcoins go up. And when they buy, their altcoins go down because they're not leaving. They're just stacking. And when I took a look at this, I'm like, all right, what's happening here? So if we just take a look and kind of zoom in a little bit. When in doubt, zoom out. But if you really want to get some good information, you got to zoom into it. So we take a look here. August is when they were essentially selling off. They were selling in August and September. And then we get to October. Oh, excuse me. They were starting to sell around October 10th, 11th, because as they sell, their stable coins go up. So even though, like, we talk about, like, you know, this is something to look at, but they were accumulating down here and they got caught by surprise as well. So they've been selling all the way up to this. Jerry, what's been the price of, like, let's just go with Bitcoin from like November, December, randomly?
Well, we're all pretty familiar with the October 27 high of 125, right?
October 6th.
Or October 6th was that high?
Yep.
I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong date.
Close enough.
Yeah,
so
October 7th, right? October 7th, it appears to me. Okay. So since that period of time, we've seen a relatively condensed, we'll call it, you know, sell-off, right? From that November 7th down to this, you know, December 17th. That is not a long period of time, right?
No.
6 weeks to get down to 86,000, where it kind of stabilized for a couple of weeks. We get into January, we're in that range, and then boom, you know, we get into this February debacle where we're at right now, right? We're in again another descending
pattern. But this is where they're buying. So as time has gone on and we've just seen like the prices go lower and become brutal. Unfortunately, it only goes to January 20th. I got to get Wes on. I think he's got an updated version because he's probably got the pro account. But you can see that January 20th, they started to buy up again, or excuse me, started to sell off just a little bit during that rally time point. But they were buying quite a bit as their stable coins went into it. So it's something to be said that I think that in the background, you know, we talk about how awful things are and how it's, you know, we could see 30K or 40K or 50K, whatever else it is. But some of the big money or smart money, as they call them, are actually accumulating and going farther. So just something to keep in mind. No, you're not crazy. There are people out there that are loading up. And that'll leave us to our last one. Then we'll get to a little Q&A, which was Canton.
Drum roll, please.
So I'm going to steal something because everybody's been talking about, not everybody, but there's been a lot of talk about Canton, the altcoin. And we don't talk too much about altcoins. But when I saw that guy in Coin Bureau put this together, you know, I watched this a couple of weeks ago. And I really didn't pay attention to it. People were like, you got to just, you know, take a look what's going on. And they talked to me about the DTCC and $100 trillion. And I'm like, that can't be right. So I'm going to play you the first 45 seconds because I can't show you the whole thing. This is the Coin Bureau Club. But just take a listen to what this is about, Canton Network. And before you go on, like, what's Canton? It came out of nowhere. And now I think it's like number 16 or 17 by market cap. Check this out.
Canton Network first came across our radar last year when we saw a headline about how some of the world's largest financial institutions were testing transactions on its ecosystem of blockchains. It then came across our radar again a few weeks ago when its CC coin launched. And after checking the RWA rankings, we noticed that it had the largest amount of represented tokenized RWAs at nearly $400 billion worth. What we found after taking a closer look ranges from being extremely bullish to outright bizarre. In short, the Canton Network could be the future of finance, but its CC coin could be limited in its growth.
So that's really all I can show you. But I will just say this, that Canton, we talk a lot about Bitcoin. I get it. People like they've gotten, you know, just destroyed with altcoins. But I got to tell you, this one just dropped out November 2025. It was at 15 cents roughly. And when Guy and Coin Bureau did this video, it was around 9 cents, 8 cents, somewhere December here, December 20th. It was 8 cents. And since then it went up to, well, it topped out at almost 20 cents. And that's one of the few altcoins that did pretty well. And their little partnership with DTCC and the 100 trillion, although I get it, it's not that much, but it looks like a pretty compelling thing. I just want to put this out there. So everybody, I'm not doing your research for you. I'm just throwing some things out there, and maybe you should take a look at this one. I've already bought a little bit, and it forces me to do my research, and that's why I went back and watched that video for Coin Bureau. And you can check them out. There's a link in the description, or you can just do a search for Canton Network. But I mean, it's looking pretty interesting. Jerry, have we talked about this offline real quick, but what do you think about this one, Canton Network?
So I'm starting to dig into it. I'll tell you, I know more about the DTCC than I do about the Canton Network. And what I can tell you about the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation is that it is the largest custodial entity on the planet for holding assets that are stocks, bond certificates, something where you need indisputable ownership, chain of ownership. Right? Yeah. So, for instance, my primary brokerage, Charles Schwab, uses the DTCC as the custodian for all of my stock.
Really?
Yeah. Schwab is my broker. Oh. The DTCC actually holds the chain of custody, the chain of ownership. They're like a title company for stock. So if you're familiar with real estate, when you are buying your real estate, you are interacting with the county that you're in, if you're in the United States, but the county is not the title company. The title company they are the custodian of record, the title company. They are in a court of law, their word matters.
Right.
They say
and
owns
then,
it. Right.
Yeah. And then they record it with the county, and the county has it in their files. So if you want to look things up, you can get it.
They remain the custodial element of it. And that's what the DTCC or DTCC is in the world of stock, when you own shares of a company. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not just the United States, it's Canada, it's, the market in the UK. There are other countries in Europe that use it. I know Liechtenstein is a client. Yeah. The country Liechtenstein is a client, which is like one of the safe havens for the world's wealthiest people. It's trillions upon trillions of dollars of custodial responsibility. They're a big deal, is what I'm trying to emphasize how huge the DTCC is. And so if this company Canton, this blockchain project, can actually get into that workflow, tokenize elements of their business and ownership, chain of ownership records, if they do it well, and they go from 0.1% of the assets on record to 1% to 10% to 30% to 60% to 100%, that is a monster. What have we always talked about in crypto? The projects that build an application or a product or a service that reaches 1 billion people is going to be a monster. Well, this has the potential to be that monster, because although it won't necessarily reach and be used by 1 billion individuals, it will be used by thousands of brokerages that are custodial elements of the world's wealth. And that is a huge endeavor. Yeah.
And when I watched that, and so thanks, Jerry. It's good to know how big it is. But we always hear that about with crypto products, like, oh, we got this partnership. And you're like, no, you don't. You just talked to us yesterday. You don't really have that. You're full of it. But this one, from what I gathered from the little bit of research I did, it's mostly Guy and Coin Bureau. They did 250 or 280, somewhere around there, $1 billion worth of tokenized assets in 2025. They've been around since like 2016, and they did pretty much like a launch in reverse. And then as far as like revenue being down, they do like $1 million in revenue per day. And they're just getting started. Like I said, they've only been in November. So just think about your altcoin, how many promises they made to you, and did they actually fulfill them and actually do stuff? And not just like, oh, we're going to trial this out. But actually did something. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that was a long Canton explanation. I apologize, but it just looks interesting. We'll see where it goes from there. And then, for all the AI people out there, this is interesting. Have you heard about this Claude bot or Claw AI?
Malt bot or open
Malt bot. Yeah, now that they had to change the name. So I just got this, put it on my little Mac Mini, and I got to tell you, and the things that I'm doing with it. So basically, it's like this: if you want an AI agent, and here's another thing. Remember all those crypto products that promise an AI agent? And it's going to come any day now, full of it. So this one just dropped not too long ago. And I now have an AI agent on my Mac Mini that's able to post things. I'm not doing this for digital asset news. I'm doing this for animal shelter. It's able to post for me, give me some really good insights. And then also, you know what else it is doing for me? And this is me talking to my bot. I named him Bobby Super Agent. And they're able to do this stuff. And oh yeah, you know what's cool about it? They're able to like answer questions on my Airbnb and VRBO. So like when people send in messages, it has access to that. And then they can answer the questions for me if I'm, sleeping or don't want to deal with anybody. And it's actually it's not like like a bad chat agent like you get on the website. It actually just works. So anyhow, Jerry, have you heard, because you're, with Compute Portal and everything else, what do you think about this new AI?
So Compute Portal, we looked into it. There are too many risks associated with supporting open source software that can present many attack surfaces for people. So Compute Portal doesn't have a stance on it. Obviously, you can go to Compute Portal and buy a device that is specified for OpenClaw. But Jerry, the human being, is really fascinated because, I remember 5 months ago, Rob, you talked to the guys at Musami about creating an agent for you that would work with your Verbo and Airbnb business. And here it is, you're able to download it for free, put it on a $700 Mac Mini, and you're off and running.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? No, it's insane.
The advancements are going to happen fast and furious.
I know. And like I'm just showing everybody this. This was a website, because they had a poor website. After I figured out how to use Gemini in their AI studio, it took me, to be honest with you, I'm slow. So it took me a couple of days to figure out what the hell I was doing. But when I got it and I had everything kind of set and ready to actually produce the actual website, it took hours. And it's great. So if you guys would like to donate to this one, you have to do I don't have a link, but it's Amigos de los Animales. I got to put a link in there. Sorry. I got to put a link because no one's going to remember that. It's Amigos de los Animales PR.org. And you can, what's great about it, I even have an AI agent on here, like I showed you before. Let me see this. Now, hopefully you can hear my actual microphone. Hey, I need some help finding a dog.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh. Finding the perfect companion is so exciting. To help us find the best match for you, are you looking for a high-energy dog or something a little calmer?
I'm old and my back hurts, so I need a dog that I can walk with that won't run me to death. Which one you got?
I totally get that. We have some lovely dogs with lower energy. Blanca, for example, is a gentle and quiet soul who loves to explore at her own pace. Gus is also a very sweet.
Okay, you guys get the point. So anyhow, you can do this stuff and you can do the donations down here. I got to make sure I get that together. But yeah, that's the long and the short of it. I was just impressed that like yesterday, what was I doing yesterday? Oh yeah. So I was out and about, but so yesterday I had to do some things. I just sent Bobby, my super agent. I said, hey, I need you to post something on X for me because I forgot to do it. And here's a new dog that just came in. So post it on the socials, and I'll get you the information. Sure. Whipped up, did it, made a nice little story about it, and that was it. I'm like, this thing's awesome. And I just did that because I just talked to the agent through Telegram. Anyhow, that's it for today, everybody. That was a little bit of a tangent. I apologize. Let's get into a little Q&A, and then we'll get out of here. Let's see. Rowan's got a good point. At least this year, there won't be any obnoxious crypto ads during the Super Bowl. I remember the one from Coinbase. It was like the most confusing one, but it was just like a QR code, I think it was. And they just said, have you scan here, and it gave you like an automatic entry into Coinbase, and you could do that. But yeah, I remember that one. There was, gosh, what was the other ones? See, it's been so long I can't remember. But I'm actually in it I love the Super Bowl just for the ads. Let's see. This one's a good one from Javi. I sold 90% of my crypto a few months ago to fund my lifestyle and pay off a bit of debt. My mental health has never been better. That's what it's supposed to be, right? I mean, if Bitcoin represents freedom, that's what it gives you. If you keep holding on to it, and you're like, well, I'm doing it for my kids and my grandkids, that's different. But if you're just hold and hold and hold and hold, and you get to use it for the things you want to, what's the point? I don't know. Jerry, thoughts on that one? I know you've done it.
I missed that. I thought I thought I would borrow against it, never sell it, and which is not a bad idea when you're talking about real estate or gold, but Bitcoin is too volatile to have that position yet. So I learned a very, very important lesson. Jabby, good job. You did what I was unable to do.
Very
And
nice.
my hat's off to you, sir. Good job.
Good job. Meme says I had an order set for 60K and missed it by $1.
Ooh.
Nah, she'll be fine.
Oh.
And then Keith M. Jeff says, Rob, 48,150 is my next big level if we fall. I think the levels themselves, 48,000. That could be, yeah, somewhere below the 300 week. Yeah, I could see that. 300 to 350.
Gosh,
But of course, we're talking about support
have a hard
levels.
time.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I don't want to bore everybody about that one. Okay. And then Rusty Bot says, no, Rob, I told you 40K is the bottom. Wouldn't that be something? 40K. Because that would be...
Is it so rusty?
Jerry, what's your bottom? Where we think like that's it?
I don't know. I thought I understood how to calculate ranges like that, and what I realized is that I don't. And the participants in the market today are not the same participants as 3 years ago. The large, easily accessible pools of capital have already made their bets in higher delta return sectors like AI, right? I've seen a lot of money move into Tesla recently. Obviously, we all saw the 1 trillion to $5 trillion market cap explosion of NVIDIA. Most of those investors would have been in our industry had those technologies not taken the headlines. So I don't know. My answer is I don't know. I know that I'm going to continue to acquire Bitcoin strictly based on, I believe we're going to continue to see global adoption, which means more people are going to own it, which means there's going to be a demand for it. And because of the structure of the asset, we can't create more of it on paper than what is actually on chain, which is what you want. We can't say that about gold. We can't say that about silver. And stocks can be printed by the company. Dollars get printed by the government. And real estate gets redeveloped for higher purposes and more access by just simply going up or down on the same footprint. So our chances for appreciation in Bitcoin are still extremely high relative to those other assets.
Yeah, I think we'll still go down first, but then of course over time, that's just how it goes. And then to get back to Rusty, 40K is the bottom. If you think about it, 60% drop from the all-time high is 50,400. 70% drop is 37.8. And the cycle before 2021, we dropped 77. 2017, we dropped 84%. So I could see a 68, 69% drop, 40K.
That means 69% of the ecosystem has to go away. I just don't see it.
I do. I hope it does.
Interesting.
No,
Okay.
because like think of it this way: like altcoins from like 200 down. I don't even know what the heck they are. I know I probably own one or two of them. I tell you that right now.
I know I own a few.
Yeah.
Not happily.
You have to laugh. Everybody else will cry. So like below that, like I wonder how much the actual market cap is. I think from the top 100, you're looking at the lion's share, and then it kind of just dissipates from there. I always thought it would be just like Facebook back in the day. Facebook is like, okay, we're trying to gain traction. We can't build everything. We don't have all the developers. We don't have all the insights. Let's just start buying up companies. And they did that. They did a great job with WhatsApp. They did a great job with the other socials, and they just kind of assimilated them. And it was the same thing with like Amazon, and they got Sprouts, or they got health food or whatever. and they just started to buy everything up. I think the same thing could be happening with these altcoins. Like, hey, we don't really, I mean, this is what would happen with Tau and the other AI crypto projects. So like, we don't have the answers. Let's just combine everything. Unfortunately, they couldn't figure it all out, and they kind of fell apart a little bit. But that's what I see could actually happen to bring us to the next evolution. We'll see. Let's see. Grant says, look how many partnerships Matic reported to have last cycle. It hasn't helped with this cycle. That unfortunately is true. Matic, it looked so good, and then just didn't happen. Randy says, the CME is going to suspend the market tomorrow. Technical error excuse going to be used. No? We'll find out.
9 a.m. Eastern, I think, right?
Something like that. Jim asks, Jerry, when will we bottom? Will TradFi try to front run the bottom like they did with ETFs?
Oh, Jim, I wish I could tell you this. That is not a question for Jerry. I'm honestly shocked that crypto is in this, or Bitcoin is in the state that it is in. I understand the alts. I really do. I understand the decline in alts. And the only thing I can explain is that a lot of the market participants that were in Bitcoin at much higher prices are seeing greater opportunity in the AI space than in the crypto space, and that money is moved out, and it's going to be out until they see a better opportunity in crypto than they do the assets that they're currently in, which means Tesla needs to take a poop in the bed. AMD needs to take a poop in the bed. NVIDIA needs to take a big dump. And it's that reason why I think it'll be a harder climb for us just to appreciate upwards, but it's possible. And I think it will only be possible with new money, not old money.
Very true. And the last one is not the greatest thing, but as a reminder, D.A.N says it right. Flare also partnered with Google. You know who else partnered with Google? Theta. Remember that project? They had their own validator on Google. Where's the Theta right now? Guarantee it's not.
Crypto number 1,286.
Yeah,
been declining for 18 months straight. I'm joking, I don't know. For all you Theta holders, I apologize.
I think it's in the 200s. It is now number 174. So all these things that we talk about, not financial advice. We're just trying to take a look at what could potentially be. And we don't talk about altcoins too much because I don't have really much faith in them. I just want to bring something else to the table besides the best Binance, Ethereum, Solana, and Tron. And I look at Canton and go, maybe that could be it. And they're using BTCC. But that's it for today, everybody. We've gone kind of long, 38 minutes. Jerry's got stuff to do. So that's it for this one. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Super Bowl Sunday. Adios.